I'm at the Filmfest Munich, and my guest today is the wonderful Stephen Frears. And you're here with your film, The Lost King.
Yes.
For our viewers who are not here, can you tell me in just a few words what it's about?
It's about this woman who found the body of King Richard III under a car park in the social services offices in Leicester. So it's an inherently ridiculous film.
I wouldn't say that. It's a wonderful film. I remember reading the headlines in 2012 that the remains of Richard III...
It's the British king, quite right too.
that they have been found. And I immediately thought, oh, that's...
Oh, that's not right. He was an English king, not a British king. Sorry. Correcting myself.
Okay. And I always thought, oh, that's an interesting story. But I totally forgot about it until I saw the film a couple of days ago. So I'm very thankful for that, because now I know what was going on there.
More than anybody else did.
So the film is such a delight that you might even think that can't be real, but it is. You might think that it can't be real, but it is.
No, she found the body. I mean, I know there are ghosts in it and all sorts of nonsense, but she did find the body.
Absolutely. Were you aware of the story before you read the script?
Well, it was all over the papers, so yes, of course I was.
Okay, it wasn't in Germany, so...
Well, you should get one. Less provincial papers. It was a very ridiculous... It was always a ridiculous story that somehow had these rather unexpected resonances.
It's also so lovely to see one of my favorite cities in the world on the big screen, Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, beautiful, isn't it?
Of course, I recognize some of the locations like the Edinburgh Castle, Princess Street Gardens, Grassmarket, or the Victoria Street. What other locations did you shoot in Edinburgh?
Well, what was complicated, this is a story that really took place in Leicester, except that Philippa Langley lives in Edinburgh. Now, Leicester is a city made of red bricks. I mean, I grew up there, so I know this. And the area where Richard was found was a particularly a rather beautiful red brick area. Edinburgh is, of course, made of granite. I think there are 2 buildings in Edinburgh made of red brick, both of which we filmed.
So you didn't film in Leicester?
We did a day in Leicester.
Okay.
But we didn't find, in a perfect world, you'd have found the body in Leicester, but we didn't have enough money.
I didn't notice that at any point, so... And when did you shoot in Edinburgh?
I think, well, it was during the pandemic. I want to say 2 years ago. Not last year, the year before.
Okay.
I think.
And I've been covering the Edinburgh International Film Festival for the past 8 years, and you might have heard that it went bankrupt last year.
Well, they made a catastrophic mistake. I was on the board, and for reasons that they didn't come clean about, they moved. It used to take place during the main Edinburgh Festival. It seemed to me quite sensible. Then they moved it entirely due for interest of the studios. And the man who was organising it was not really telling the truth.
Oh, I see.
So it moved to mid-June, and what was quite a distinguished festival has sort of disappeared into nothing. So silly them.
Yeah, I only knew the festival in June because I wasn't there before.
It used to be in September. It used to be in August during the Edinburgh Festival, and that was a very good time for it. So people who were up there seeing plays and listening to music could also go to see films. That's where my beautiful laundrette was discovered.
Yeah, and they're going back to August this year with a smaller event.
It's going back to August.
Yeah, yeah. It's a small event under the roof of the Edinburgh International Festival.
Yeah, well, that's
and they're
more sensible.
Yeah, and they're hoping to get back on their own feet next year.
More sensible.
So, what are your memories of the festival? You've been there at least once.
I've been there a lot of times. I mean, it feels as though I've been going there all my life.
It's such a beautiful festival.
The main thing was that when the laundrette played there, and the place went bananas about it, and when they were putting on extra performances the whole time.
Yeah, but let's get back to the film. You worked with Steve Coogan and Jeff Pope again, who wrote the script. What is so special about working with these guys? Because every time you do, it turns out to be a wonderful film.
Well, they're very good. In the end, that's all that matters. They write good scripts, and they're nice fellows. You know, sort of Jeff somehow does the work, and then Steve does these flourishes on top.
Have you been involved in the script at any point?
No, I can't write, I'm illiterate.
Oh, don't think so.
Well, I know so.
For the soundtrack, you collaborated with Alexandre Desplat. What was the process? How did you find the music? Or how did he find the music? Because I think it suits the film very well.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is the 5th film I've done with him, so we have quite a, we have a past. You show him the film, and then he says, well, what about this? And I sit there and grunt, oh, that's pretty good, or it doesn't make it do that. Anyway, it sorts itself out. There's a lot of Japanese meals involved.
Okay.
But he's brilliant. And what I he's a very good writer of music, but he's a very, very good reader of films. When I first met him, he did the music for the Queen. And they all said to him, you should write a melody for Helen Mirren. And he said, no, I know Stephen's films very well. He makes witty films. I'll write your witty score, which he did, and got nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Playing the main character of Philippa Langley, it's the always amazing Sally Field.
She's just amazing, yes.
Yeah. Has she always been your first choice?
I did think she was the day before. When I met her, I thought, oh, yes, she makes perfect sense. The day before, I hadn't thought about it.
And speaking of the original Philippa Langley, do you have an explanation why no one before her connected the dots that led to the discovery of the remains?
No. I mean, she's quite a mysterious woman. She's clearly very, very bright. And yet she was an Edinburgh housewife, if you know what I mean. So she'd sort of buried her talent and buried herself. And then she started thinking, and the thought led to Richard III. But no one had quite, I think they vaguely knew where Greyfriars was. But she worked it out, well, and it must be in this car, it must be in the car park. And then there's this rather mysterious moment when she goes and stands over the letter R, which of course means reserved. And there he was.
Yeah.
But that's mysticism. That's beyond my pay grade.
Yeah, okay. Have you spoken to Philippa Langley before the film, or?
No, I didn't talk to her. I mean, the boys were talking to her the whole time, and if there were questions, she would happily give them answers. But I met her after the film. There's a shot of her. Richard was then reburied in Leicester Cathedral. And in the middle of this sequence, there is a shot of a woman. And I kept saying, why is that shot in the film? And they eventually said, that's Philippa Langley. Oh. That's how little I knew. But then I did meet her afterwards. And indeed, I corresponded with her this weekend.
Okay. And what did she think of the film?
I said, was it okay? She said, yes. I didn't want to go any further.
That's lovely. How hard was it to find the parking lot in Edinburgh? You said that there were not many brick buildings.
First of all, there are 2 red brick buildings in Edinburgh, both of which we filmed in. They came up with 3 or 4 places. The truth is, it's all to do with what's underground and where the pipes are and where the electricity is. And the research had to be very, very thorough because, they couldn't give permission without knowing, we had to know if we dug there, we won't burst a water pipe or electrocute or whatever it is. And all that was quite difficult.
Okay. I'd like to ask a hypothetical question because I think having a budget for a film is mostly a good thing because you get creatively challenged. But would you have done anything different if you had, let's say, endless time or endless money?
Well, I would have shot in Leicester, I guess. I mean, I did a day in Leicester, but actually all the stuff that we shot that is set in Leicester, we should have shot there. We didn't have the money for it. I don't think that's the end of the world.
No.
I mean, I've always said poverty is a source of strength because you have to invent. And this idea that you can just throw millions of dollars at a problem doesn't help anybody. You have to be clever. I mean, we made My Beautiful Audrey for no money. We made Liaison for no money. I mean, I was recently in Vienna, in beautiful, beautiful rooms. And I said, well, we never had rooms this nice when we were doing Liaison. We should redo Liaison in Vienna.
Oh, I don't think that the film needs any change. I think it's perfect the way it is. I loved it from start to finish. So what about the future? Is there anything you can already talk about? Any new projects?
Well, I've made this big series for HBO, which I'm just about to start editing. And then next year, touch wood, all of the touch wood, I'll make a film about Billy Wilder, which should be set in Munich. The last Billy Wilder film was a film called Fedora, which wasn't a very good film. And it was shot in Corfu. And the interiors were shot in Munich. But we can't afford to come to Munich, so we'll shoot the interiors somewhere else.
I think it will be perfect just as this one. So
he was in Munich. He was staying at the, it's called the Bayerischer Hof, where I'm staying.
Yeah.
He was there.
Let's see how it works out.
So we'll fake it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the interview.
Pleasure.
Good luck with the film, and it was lovely to meet you.
Okay. Look, now I can have a close-up.